At this point, I want to introduce my colleague, Dave Ehrenberg, who's going to say a few words. Thank you, Dave, for being here.
Thank you. And thank you, Kathy, for your leadership and for hosting us here today. Thank you to the Miami-Dade County State Attorney's Office. I'm Dave Ehrenberg, State Attorney for the 15th Judicial Circuit of Florida, which covers all of Palm Beach County. It's good to be here with my colleague, Dennis Ward, and so many of you. Thank you. Carlos Martinez, really appreciate your being here, standing with us from the Public Defender's Office. I've been now State Attorney this is my 10th year, and this is the worst recruitment and retention crisis that I have seen. In fact, I'm joined today by Chief Assistant State Attorney Alan Johnson, who's been with the office for 30 years. And this is the worst situation that he has seen as well. This is the worst I've seen in my years as a state senator for 8 years. Just to put in perspective, we normally get about 10 applicants for every one person we ultimately hire in our office. Now it's around 1 applicant for every one person that we hire. We are normally at around 120 assistant state attorneys. We are down to 107. The caseloads have gone up as a result. In county court, now the caseloads are around 275 cases per prosecutor. In felony court, it's around 200 cases per prosecutor. So this is, as Kathy said, a public safety crisis. Now, people still want to be prosecutors. They just can't afford to be prosecutors. If you're a first-year prosecutor in our office, as with Kathy's office, you'll be making $50,000 a year. Now, if you're at a trial and you're sitting at a table next to a first-year police officer from Boca Raton, that first-year police officer will be making $75,000 a year. So it's really important for so many reasons, but it's not just the caseload, but it's also the fact that when you have this high turnover, you are putting less experienced prosecutors in a courtroom with very experienced defense lawyers. And so it's just important for the system to work that our offices are funded properly. In the budget that Kathy was referring to, there is a proposal to increase the salaries of law enforcement, and there's a proposal to include us in there for a 5.38% bump. But although law enforcement is proposed to get an additional 5% on top of that, which they deserve, by the way, and I'm so appreciative that Stedman is here and the police chiefs, law enforcement deserves that. We also believe we should be part of that additional increase because the state of Florida asks prosecutors to advise law enforcement on investigations and lots of different matters, and then we take it from there to prosecute the case. So you can't fund one part of the criminal justice system and not the other and expect to get justice. So justice requires that the entire system be funded properly, and that includes the public defender's office as well, because everyone's entitled to a fair and full defense. So we're here today to ask the legislature to do the right thing and to keep in mind that this is indeed a national crisis, but especially so in Florida and especially in South Florida. The housing situation in Palm Beach County, as Kathy said, has gone out of control. I mean, we had 4 assistant state attorneys just recently who applied to our office, who we offered a job to, and then after they could not find housing, they had to reject us. If you start at our office at $50,000 a year, you're making $24 an hour. If you're an experienced prosecutor in our office and you can get up to $70,000 a year, you'll be making about $34 an hour. Try hiring any lawyer for under $100 an hour anywhere. And so we're not trying to match the private sector. We know we're not going to get there. I mean, that's never been realistic, and we don't have to match the private sector. But the system is so out of whack right now that it really is a clear and present danger to public safety. And that's why we're here today. And we just want to ask the legislature to look at the budget, look at the people here today, and focus on the fact that as they are preparing to increase the minimum wage up to $15 an hour, they cannot let starting prosecutors make $24 an hour and experienced prosecutors make $34 an hour in this state. And I have sympathy for the legislature. I was there for 8 years up there, and I know that every year that there are attempts like this to raise salaries, forgive loans, and that's necessary, but I've never seen it like this. This is different. And that's why we drove down from Palm Beach County to be here. That's why everyone left their busy lives to be here today. And the clock is ticking because the legislative session ends March 11th. They just went into budget conference yesterday. So all eyes are on Tallahassee. And we're just asking the legislature to do the right thing. And if you stand up for public safety in Florida, you'll stand with us today.
That's great.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you so much,
Thank
David.
you.
That's excellent. Dennis?
Good job, Dave. Kathy. Well, good afternoon. That Target job is looking better and better every day. My name is Dennis Ford. I'm the state attorney for the Florida Keys, Monroe County. It's the 16th Judicial Circuit, and it's the smallest circuit in the state of Florida. Now, I'm with Kathy, who's the largest circuit, right? And this is just a snapshot of where this whole crisis is going. I've lost 9 prosecutors. I'm down to 6. I've got all my prosecutors are carrying double caseloads. It's gotten to a point where I have to make a decision whether or not I can be able to prosecute misdemeanor cases. And going through my head and going to sit with my staff about what misdemeanor cases do we not want to prosecute. Well, there's none of them we don't want to prosecute, but due to this financial hardship, we won't be able to do that and still take care of the more serious offenses. I'm talking about possession of marijuana, shoplifting, trespassing, things of that nature. But I don't want to do that. I mean, they do that in San Francisco because they want to do it. But I'm not that type of prosecutor. I've got 50 years in this court system as a police officer, as an assistant state attorney, assistant public defender, private defense counsel, and as state attorney. So basically, Kathy and David have well covered everything that I think you, the people, the media, and the community need to know. I want to thank Kathy for bringing out this group, and it's very well represented. And thank you, the media, for coming here and covering this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis, so much. Again, thank you both for driving from different areas of our great state to come here and be with us and stand in solidarity with us. At this point, I'd like to ask our public defender, Carlos Martinez, to speak.
So I think what's clear that you've heard from our 3 elected prosecutors from South Florida is that they're having a really difficult time to be able to hire the passionate lawyers that we all need to hire. And in my office, I also hire for passion. But you know what? Passion does not pay the bills. And what we have right now, we have a situation where all we are asking for is a raise of $4.81. That's it. $4.81 per hour.
The partnership that we have with the police officers is that we go after the worst of the worst out there. We find the worst, the ones out there, the one basic element that I think that we all want in society is safe neighborhoods and stuff like that. So when our officers are out there putting in a lot of time and effort and they're risking their lives out there to go after the worst of the worst, that's the first part of it. The second part of it, we have to bring them to the prosecutors to prosecute them. And they have to have the staff that they're going to need, and not only through the attorneys or the clerical, to make sure that these cases are followed through, that they get convicted, and they go to where they need to go to. And that's a partnership with the judges and the state attorney's office. So we support any increases that we can help our state attorney's office, so that when our officers are bringing the bad guys to jail, we have the ability to make sure that they go to jail and they stay in jail.
CEO of the Florida State Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We're the only statewide economic development organization representing the Hispanic business community in the state of Florida, and that's in excess of 600,000 Hispanic-owned businesses from the Panhandle all the way down to the Keys and everything in between. And when this came to our attention, obviously community safety is something that's important to our business community. community safety crisis elevates it to a level where we need to stand side by side, our district attorneys, and urge the legislature to do the right thing here, because obviously it's a trickle down from there. Recruiting companies to move down here to Florida or expand their businesses throughout the state of Florida, and having this looming crisis over our heads here is just not good for anyone. And I'll just leave it with, I do quite a bit of these press conferences, but when you have individuals like we have standing behind me now from all walks of life, different organizations, nonprofit organizations, the faith-based, grassroots outreach, it's very rare that you see everyone coming together and urging the Florida legislature to do the right thing. So thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much, Julio.
And our local economy have a much better chance to thrive when supported by the rule of law. So we stand with you in this matter, and we are prepared to support, and as has been said, we ask our friends in the legislature to support this initiative. Thank you.
The Sears, Tanja, if you come forward, she is the founder of Florida Parents of Murdered Children. She herself lost her son to gun violence, and she has stood for so many victims, other moms, other dads, other surviving family members. She has always been a pillar, a shoulder, and an ear for them. So thank you for being here today, Tangela.
Thank you. A couple of weeks ago, I had an opportunity to speak before the Appropriation Criminal Justice Committee, and I spoke on behalf of the state attorneys that you see here today. As victims, it affects us. It affects us when every 3 months we have to meet a new assistant state attorney and begin the process all over again. It affects us when I speak with my state attorney that travels throughout the United States trying to get attorneys here and learning that they would only live from check to check. It's very hard. I mean, just an apartment here in Miami could be $2,000 a month, and they still have their student loans. State representatives, senators, don't wait until you become a victim to understand the importance of what's needed today.
Thank you, and thank you, Kathy, for having me, and thank you to all of you who drove down here or up here today. As Kathy said, my name is Amanda Altman. I am the CEO of Miami-Dade County's Children's Advocacy Center, Christie House, which is located right across the street, and I am here on behalf of the most vulnerable population in our community, our children who have experienced horrific crimes, been victims of horrific crimes, and experienced unimaginable abuse. And the state attorney's office and the criminal justice system are critical, not only to protecting our children from these horrible crimes, but also to helping us help them heal from these crimes. So I implore the legislature to please think about our children, think about your children. Don't wait for your child to be the victim of a crime to do something, and please raise the salaries of our attorneys throughout the state of Florida. Thank you.
Pastor Carl Johnson never misses an opportunity to come and stand with us in leadership, and we're so grateful to you. You always stand on the right side of issues. Thank you so much, Pastor Carl Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You know, it is with great honor and respect to see our state attorney and our public defender and their colleagues to come stand up for our community and our attorneys. Just like you heard the load being shared with you from Ms. Rundu, in the consecrated community, we feel the same load too. I have to counsel the victims and the accused, and it seems like that load is going up and up and up. And they both are interchangeable, the criminal justice system and the consecrated system. We work hand in hand. And so to stand here today to see the appeal that's being made to our Florida legislation, it's commendable. I also want to thank God for my other colleague, Johnny Barber from Mount Sinai Baptist Church, who's also standing as well with the faith community. Let me also commend our Florida legislation for considering this issue. And also not only your consideration, but hopefully some level of affirmation to resolve this problem. I stand in great honor. I love what Ms. Rundle has done. She's had the best state attorneys, assistant state attorneys in this office, and to lose them because of a salary issue, I think we need leadership to correct that. Mr. Carlos, been knowing him for a long time. These are good-hearted people, and they want a safe community, and they want to support these great attorneys. So Pastor Johnson is here with Dr. Barber. Let's say, guess what? God is on y'all side. Because we in the consecrated community, we feel the same load too. I have to counsel the victims and the accused, and it seems like that load is going up and up and up. And they both are interchangeable, the criminal justice system and the consecrated system. We work hand in hand. And so to stand here today to see the appeal that's being made to our Florida legislation is commendable.